Hey lovebirds, happy very belated Valentine's Day, and welcome to Enginomics. I'm Hank, and today I want you to grab maybe some red wine, some $3 red wine, maybe some dubiously maybe expired chocolates, because today we're going to be looking into the rise of dating apps and the features that make them so irresistible, and also how they're making so much dang money. To start off, this cluster of a graph is from the National Academy of Sciences. Oh, you can conduct a decades-long survey on couple data, but you can't take said data out of MATLAB and into an Excel program more recent than 2003? And it shows the way that couples have met each other over the years. While almost every method has gone down in the past decade, hitting the bars and surfing the web seem to be doing just fine. But due to the pandemic, it's become increasingly hard to meet up with a person and accidentally cough into their mouth. This has led to a surge of horned up quarantines and quarant young adults hitting the app even harder. And this spike is actually showing because in the latter half of 2020, dating app Bumble boasted over 42 million active users, and this led them to file for an initial public offering, or IPO, last week, which had a valuation of over $7 billion. On the first day of the market alone, Bumble's stock price surged 63% to $70.31, and this led the CEO, Whitney Wolfe, to become one of the youngest female billionaires. Eat your heart out, Kylie Jenner. So what's the buzz with Bumble? What's their secret? How does Bumble, heck, how do any of these dating apps actually make money? In order to do that, we first have to look on how these dating apps work and where they came from. While there were smaller experiments in the past, online dating really came to the scene in the late 1990s and early 2000s as everyone and their mothers were taking advantage of that sweet, sweet venture capital money to build their .com website. And while not all of these could survive,
the cream will rise to the top, oh yeah.
Some of the most successful early websites were included but not limited to Match.com, eHarmony, OkCupid, Plenty of Fish, Ashley Madison, but this was also a great time for experimentation with varying success. One of the most controversial technologies during the time was called proxy dating, a technology that used Bluetooth technology to see if a match was within 50 feet of you. That's a little creepy.
Yeah, but your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they didn't stop to think if they should.
Later in the 2000s, more inclusive and specific options were brought to the table for pretty much any community you can think of. And finally, with the introduction of the smartphone, dating websites seem to have found their perfect match. No longer do you have to connect your basement off-white desktop computer to dial-up in order to chat with hot babes online. This, combined with a brand new feature from this little-known startup called Tinder, really changed the game. The introduction of the swipe was the dating equivalent of putting a slot machine in a casino, but more on that later. Now that we're all caught up on how these apps have come to be, let's investigate how these apps function and why a new wave of dating apps is dominating almost every other form of casual dating. In the 1930s, Harvard professor B.F. Skinner was studying free operant behavior on animals using a device later dubbed the Skinner box, the purpose of which was to analyze animal behavior and how rewards impact it. In an isolated box, rats were presented with a lever that, when pulled, would release food. After a few attempts, the rat would learn that the pull of the lever would always be rewarded with food and would eventually lose interest with the lever altogether. But what if you wanted that rat to pull the lever as much as possible? Skinner recognized that if you provided a reward to the rat at a random number of times once pulled, you could condition that rat to pull the lever over and over and over again. Perhaps the scariest of findings is that Skinner discovered that the same operant conditioning also works on humans. I'm sure you can tell where this is going next. But Hank, you may say, I thought this was enginomics and not psychologinomics, to which I would respond to that carefully crafted straw man, you're absolutely right. However, app design is a form of engineering, and understanding the human psychology factor in any design is an important step to understanding how it looks, why it functions, and how it interacts with the user in the way that it does. Intentional or not, dating apps like Tinder and Bumble are creating Skinnerbox-esque environments, which entices the user to come back, dangling the carrot a little bit further with the hopes of matching with a busty blonde or a puppy-clad Chad. Despite being quote-unquote free, Tinder and apps like it certainly aren't running a charity case. In 2019 alone, Tinder was the highest grossing app, non-game app, on the App Store. People are not only using these apps, but they're paying for them too. Match Group, whose dating app portfolio rivals that of an actual index fund, attributes a lot of its growth and success to Tinder Gold, an add-on service for particularly lonely individuals looking to boost their odds, see swipe analytics, and much, much more. If you're psychologically conditioned into pulling that switch, now there's something you can do to increase those odds, or hitting the jackpot for only $14.99 a month. Also, if you're over 30, be prepared to pony up. It costs you double if you're over 30. I guess it's more expensive to match old people, but it's not just Tinder. Other dating apps like Bumble have similar services. In addition to Gold, you can jump straight to the front of the line with a little boost for $5.99 for 30 minutes. Ooh, again, if you're over 30, it's gonna cost you $6.99. And if that wasn't enough, even if you're still not paying with actual cold hard cash, you're gonna be paying with data, ads, and more. In the privacy agreement, Tinder says that it uses your data to, quote unquote, develop, display, and track content and advertising tailored to your interests. Possibly using stuff in your Tinder profile to tailor ads towards you? That's not really reassuring, is it? Well, at least the data is probably secure, right? Again, per the privacy agreement, you should not expect your personal information will always remain secure. So with all these in-app purchases, ads, and data mining, your swiping service is starting to look like a predatory, free-to-play game than a no-crap dating solution. That said, the gamification of dating certainly seems like the most profitable business model for a lot of companies. As proof, the wild success of the recent Bumble IPO and Match Group's profits, they prove that it's here to stay. So here's the conclusion. I don't want to make any sweeping accusations about the morality of app design, freemium business models, misaligned incentives, especially in a time where these apps are providing much needed social connections where they're otherwise pretty absent. The truth of the matter is that not long ago, a lot of these online dating platforms were heavily stigmatized.
Stay home and eat all the freaking chips, Kip.
Napoleon, don't be jealous that I've been chatting online with babes all day. Besides, we both know I'm training to become a cage fighter.
And through these apps, a lot of people are finding genuine connections. And that's a powerful thing when a lot of other social media apps are providing really perverse effects, such as completely dividing us politically or exporting our data to God knows where. I guess just continue to be careful as you use these tools and recognize where and how they're making money. There's also other alternatives out there. Dating app Hinge claims to be the app designed to be deleted, which is an interesting take in my opinion. I mean, that is until you realize that it's also owned by the multi-billion conglomerate group Match Group. So as the market continues to grow and grow, I can't help but reveal a little tinge of caution for those of you who are using it. Keep on swiping, but be alert. Hope you all had a match-filled Valentine's Day. And if you enjoyed today's video, swipe right on subscribe and super like the video as well. That would help me out a lot. Let me know in the comments about what experiences you have had with today's dating age, and if you have any other questions, leave those down there as well. I'm Hank from Enginomics, and I'll catch you next time. Happy Valentine's Day.